Hey everyone, ever wondered what makes a relationship really work? Not just survive, but actually thrive? It's not just about love or, like in the same movies. It's something much, much deeper. We're talking about emotional safety. So let's get into it and explore how this one thing can literally be the foundation for the best connections in our lives.
Okay, so let's kick things off with a feeling. A feeling I bet a lot of you know, even if you can't quite put a name to it. It's that constant kind of low-grade anxiety, where you feel like you've got to be so careful with every single thing you do or say.
So I've got to ask you, do you ever feel like you're walking on eggshells? Like around someone you really care about, you're constantly second-guessing everything, what to say, how to say it, all just to try and avoid a bad reaction? If that sounds familiar at all, trust me, you are not alone. And that feeling, that's probably one of the biggest, clearest signs that emotional safety just isn't there.
These red flags, they're sneaky. They can feel just like normal relationship problems, right? But they're not. I mean, constantly worrying about what you say, hiding how you really feel, or maybe being told you're too sensitive. Come on. These are not just bumps in the road. No way! These are giant flashing signs that the environment just isn't safe for you to be, well, you. And having to be on guard like that all the time, it's absolutely exhausting. It just eats away at the connection. And at you.
And this is really the heart of the matter. The real price you pay for not having that safety, it's not just the arguments or the stress. It's this deep, deep sense of loneliness. And what's so wild is that you can end up feeling more alone with the person you're supposed to be closest to than you would if you were just by yourself. All because you can't just be you.
Okay, so we've talked about the problem. We've kind of put our finger on that walking on eggshells feeling. But what is emotional safety really? Like, what does it actually mean? Let's break it down. Because this right here, this is the bedrock, the foundation for any real, healthy connection.
Really, when you boil it all down, emotional safety is just freedom. It's the freedom to be vulnerable, the freedom to be messy and imperfect, to share your deepest thoughts, your weirdest feelings, and to know, really know, that you're not going to get punished for it. And look, it doesn't mean you'll never argue. Of course not. It just means that you both know the relationship itself is solid. It's secure, even when you're in the middle of a disagreement. It's also super important to get what emotional safety isn't. So physical safety, that's just the baseline. Like that's non-negotiable, table stakes. And compatibility, having things in common, that's awesome. It's great to like the same stuff. But here's the thing. You can have both of those, be physically safe and totally compatible, and still not have the emotional safety you need to really open up. And that's the key difference we're talking about.
And get this, there's actual science to back this all up. It's about your brain chemistry. When you feel unsafe, your brain just gets flooded with cortisol. That's the stress hormone. It basically puts your body on high alert in that fight or flight mode. But when you're in a safe relationship, your brain releases oxytocin. That's the good stuff, the bonding hormone. It literally calms you down, calms your whole nervous system. And what's the result? You're less reactive, you're more trusting, and you're just a better communicator all around.
So what does this actually look like in real life? Well, it looks like having a disagreement that's about the issue, not about tearing the other person down. It's knowing deep down that you can share something really vulnerable and it's not going to be thrown back in your face later. It's being able to say no and not feeling guilty about it because you know your boundary will be respected. It's all about a culture of fixing things together instead of just pointing fingers.
Okay, so if this is all so important, so essential, why is it so dang rare? Why does it feel so hard to find? Well, for a lot of us, the answer is in our past. It's in the emotional programming we got when we were kids. Think about it. A lot of us grew up where love felt, well, conditional, right? We learned pretty quickly that to get affection, we had to hide certain parts of ourselves. We had to be the good kid, or we had to walk on eggshells around a parent's moods. We basically got the message that our real feelings were too much or wrong. And those early lessons, they program us to believe that just being ourselves is a huge risk.
And please hear this. This is so important. This is not a character flaw. It's not something that's wrong with you. It's a skills gap. That's it. Most of us just were never taught how to do this stuff, how to create safety for someone else. Why? Because our parents probably weren't taught either. But here's the great news. Skills can be learned. This is something we can absolutely get better at.
Okay, so that brings us to the big question. How? How do we actually start building this in our own relationships? Well, let's get practical. Here's a simple 5-step blueprint to start creating that safety and trust.
All right, these 5 steps, think of them as the pillars of a safe relationship. It all starts with active listening. And I mean, really listening to understand, not just waiting for your turn to talk or to argue. Then, it's about using those I statements to own your own feelings, instead of just blaming the other person. You've got to be consistent, reliable, and this last one is huge. It's about getting good at apologizing and fixing things after a fight and making a promise to never, ever use someone's vulnerability against them.
This is such a perfect example of what we're talking about with I statements. Think about the difference. When you say, "You never have time for me," what happens? Defensiveness, right? It's an attack. But if you say, "I feel hurt and left out when you're on your phone at dinner," see the difference? It's not an accusation. You're just sharing your feeling about a specific thing. It turns an argument into an invitation to connect. It literally changes the whole game.
You know, really committing to building this kind of safety, it changes everything. So let's talk about the payoff. Let's talk about what's on the other side of this work. Because the reward is huge. It's a relationship that actually feels like a source of comfort and strength, not just another source of stress.
So, what's really at stake here? I mean, in a way, everything. When you have emotional safety, you unlock this incredible intimacy. You get the freedom to just breathe, to finally let your guard down and just be you. Suddenly, conflicts aren't about winning or losing, they're chances to get closer. Your relationship stops being something you have to manage and becomes the one place you can go to feel truly safe, your safe harbor.
I love this quote. It just nails it, doesn't it? Real emotional safety isn't just about saying, "I accept you as you are." It's about creating a space where the other person feels so safe, so seen, that they can become the very best version of themselves. It's about what you help them become just by being with them.
So I want to leave you with this one thought. Building this stuff, it's not about big, grand gestures. It's built in the tiny moments, the small, everyday actions. So my question to you is, what's one small step you can take today? Just one. Maybe it's putting your phone down and really listening. Or maybe it's trying one of those I statements. What's one thing you can do to start building a stronger, safer connection? Because that's how it starts, with just one step. Thanks so much for being here.